Hi, this is Dr. Mark Sell of the YouTube channel Therapy for the Heart. Tonight I'm going to be doing the 14th talk in the series What Makes for a Good Psychotherapy Session, and this talk is on attachment, attention, and need. Attention, as we all know, is a primary ingredient in the development of a healthy child and the development of secure attachments. Attention feeds the self. Being listened to, admired, held, having one's thoughts and feelings taken seriously, all go into building healthy self-esteem and a healthy feeling of, I deserve something good, I am deserving of love. Depression, anxiety, rage, emotional withdrawal can result from an early attachment disruption. Insecure attachment has been linked to depression and to outcome in psychotherapy. Studies have shown that security of the child's attachment to the caregiver is dependent on the emotional availability of the parent. A parent's distress can lead to a child's stress, which in turn can lead to insecure attachments and compromised cognitive outcomes. In video talk 4, I mentioned the research that concluded that interactions between mother and child at 4 months of age could predict disturbance in relationships at 1 year of age. Early problems in secure attachment can result in a self-image of being bad and consequently the self as bad for having needs. Wanting attention is a common human need, but for many of us we are taught to be ashamed or bad for our needs for attention. Oh, you just want attention. Stop showing off. Shame on you. Or to a child upset. You want some attention? I'll give you some attention. So it gives a child a cuff on the head. There's a lot of abuse in this world. I forgot the statistics, but so many children to this day and age in this country are abused, and that's independent of socioeconomic class. Has nothing to do with that. At least that's my opinion. These are attacks which undermine the positive self-regard of the child. They become internalized as negative interjects. I'm bad, I'm no good. I must have done something to deserve this. Well, the child did nothing. It is innocent, but it learns to protect the caregiver by blaming itself. This is called the narcissistic defense. The self is attacked. I'm worthless, I'm no good. What is the foundation of the narcissistic defense? Dr. Hyman Spotnitz wrote, the defense seems to originate in a relationship which was gratifying to the infant in some respects, especially in meeting his biological needs for the intake of stimuli, but failed to meet the need of his mental apparatus for cooperation in discharging destructive energy. End of quote. Why is the caregiver not cooperating? Many possible reasons. He or she could be annoyed by a child's fussing and crying. Maybe she has 2 other children demanding attention at the same time. Whatever the reason, a child's crying often is an expression of distress, discomfort, gas, pain, hunger, and a resulting expression of frustration and rage. The mother can react in turn by withdrawing, isolating, or behaving in a punitive manner. This is non-cooperative. Cooperation is not helping the child to discharge the frustration and aggression. A baby needs to discharge, and crying is a perfect way. Often we say, oh, it's such a good baby, it never cries. Well, that may not be so good. I mean, for instance, we often see this, the moment a child cries, the caregiver sticks a pacifier in its mouth. Well, is that the best response? I don't know. I don't think so, often. The child needs to express itself. And it's crying is vocalizing itself. It's got a pain, it's got a hurt. Pick the child up, hold it, comfort it. You don't have to shut it up. The narcissistic defense can be seen in depression, I'm worthless, and thought confusion, the executive function of the ego is attacked, and can be seen in psychosomatic symptoms, the body's organs are attacked, ulcer, skin conditions. People need to be loved, heard, respected, mirrored, and joined, not attacked or taught to be perfect or physically or emotionally abused. Often parents consciously or unconsciously convey the idea that it's their needs that should be administered to. One of my patients who gave me permission to quote him said, "My mother never came into my world." That's quite a statement. My patient would start to talk about some life event And his mother would interrupt and say, "Oh, well, that reminds me of," and then she would trail off into her own story. And my patient's story was lost. That happened repeatedly over and over again. Another example, as a part of my practice, I do group therapy. And from time to time, one person may take control and dominate the group. Often the others are timid, they sit back, they are quiet, but also resentful. It's a breath of fresh air when another member takes a chance and says, "I would like to interrupt. I would like to take time to talk about something." In the first instance, the group member is controlling and dominating, and members become silently annoyed. In the second instance, the group member takes control in a positive way, asking for attention directly. And I really try to help people in the group take that direction and become less timid about speaking up if somebody else is dominating. In another group, a member used to come in and suddenly start chomping on an apple. He would do all sorts of things to bring negative attention on himself. One time he sat down on the floor chomping on the apple, and I said, "By the way, do you have any idea what made you sit on the floor at that moment?" And at that point, for some reason or other, he said, "I think I want attention." So the group congratulated him on being able to have that direct expression of need, and also talked to him about how his prior behavior would bring the opposite of what he wanted, would bring the group's annoyance, and he would end up not getting what he thought he wanted was attention. It is the self-affirming, attentive, mirroring responses that positively shape a child's development in the first 5 years of life. If the child is adequately loved, it will thrive. If not, the child's growth will be impaired. I think I mentioned before, we saw that in one of the tapes where the child's brain was stunted, and you could see it in the pictures that I showed of the brain itself. It was of a child who was neglected, severely neglected, while in an orphanage. And as we know, if a child is not attended to or picked up for a long period of time, it can die. It's called marasmus. Spitz noted the following disturbed object relations caused by damaging maternal behaviors. Number 1, overt primary maternal rejection, coma in a newborn. 2, primary anxious maternal overpermissiveness, colic at 3 months. Hostility in the guise of anxiety, infantile eczema. Number 4, oscillation between pampering and hostility, rocking and headbanging of the child. 5, cyclical mood swings of the mother, fecal play. Bonding versus bondage. For an example of bondage, you can refer back to tapes 8 and 9 where I talk about Jane. Jane's mother used to force her to eat all her food on the plate, or Jane would be punished. It is the mother who determines if the child here is hungry. Interesting. The mother knows best, not the child. If there is a disagreement between this pair, Jane and her mother, there would be physical violence. Jane's hair would be pulled, she would be scolded, reprimanded. That is bondage. Her mother wanted too much, and Jane had to fight being consumed. Not she literally would be consumed, but she had this idea she could be consumed. So she had to fight through defiance at every turn, and also fighting off being close, because to be close would be overwhelmed and taken over. To be close is very nice. We need to have that ability to feel intimate and close to another human being, and in play and love and sex. However, if we have this fear of being consumed, we're not going to be able to enjoy that, and Jane couldn't enjoy it. Opposite from bonding and hostage, there is bonding and mirroring. Child says that it's full, mother accepts it. Oh, you're full. No criticism, no control. The child's separate existence is respected. The child's ability to determine its level of hunger is respected. Being controlled saps the life out of children. It's a soul killer. One patient recently said of his relationship with his mother, "Everything I wanted, she negated. I felt this terrible sense of loneliness. I lost my intention, my desires, wishes, hopes." In other words, everything became subsumed under the will of the caregiver. My patients needed to please, to defer to, all at the expense of her own will and desire. My group, another example. One night, one of the group members were talking about, they all talked about this, they all identified with the same thing, how each in their own way sacrificed their self, their needs, to the parent out of a need of approval and a fear of retaliation and rejection. An extreme example of control and self-sacrifice can be found in Aronofsky's movie Black Swan, inspired by Swan Lake, the famous ballet by Tchaikovsky. In the end, after delivering a perfect performance, Nina, played by Natalie Portman, kills herself. Her life was so monitored and controlled by her mother that this act, killing herself, was a compromise in my mind. That's my opinion. There's many opinions about this film. I'll make mine. So this was a compromise. Here you can have the perfect me, the perfect performance. I will be what you want, but not really. Her infantilizing mother, by the way, was alternately rooting for her daughter's success and failure. She wanted her to succeed, but also unconsciously she wanted her to fail. So Nina succeeds and fails. She could not have her free-spirited, lusty, sexual self because this too went against mother. Perhaps death was the only act of assertion left. A final thought on attention. One of my YouTube followers, a teacher, when I was mentioning this talk I was going to give, reminded me of the negative attention her students sought by getting into various forms of trouble in and out of class. Often these children were repeating behaviors that they learned at home. This is how they learned to get attention. The negative attention is at least something in the void of neglect and indifference. Well, I want to thank you for listening tonight. I hope and trust that you enjoyed this talk. And if you did, could you press the like button? I would like that. That would give me some attention. And I'll admit that I like attention. And so press the like button. And if you want to make your own channel up there, you don't have a need to have any videos. You can just get a Gmail account, and then all these videos would be uploaded to you automatically. Or else, if you don't do that, you can always put Mark Sell in YouTube in the browser there, and my videos will come up. So thank you so much. I appreciate your attention to all these videos. And without you, there wouldn't be any therapy for the heart, and I appreciate it. So write in if you do subscribe, and I will respond to any comments or questions that you have, and I like to do that. I like the interaction. So I'm going to sign off for now. This is Mark Sell, Therapy for the Heart. Thanks so much.